I give a marriage workshop, and one of the fundamentals of a good relationship is good communication. And we always say, you have to say what you mean, and mean what you say. Just if you want someone to understand you, that's the rule you got to follow. So reading the Chumash this week, last week, this week, I'm like, God, if you want to say it, so say it. We read Im Kesav Talva Es Ami. If you'd like to lend money to somebody, so it tells you what to do. We don't charge interest and whatnot. If in Devarim we're given a mitzvah, you got to lend money to people. So why here are you telling me if? So Rashi is bothered by that, and he tells us, Rabbi Yishmael says, whenever it says im, it means if you want to do it, it's a rishus, it's up to you. Chutz mishleisha, 3 exceptions. And this is one of those exceptions. If you mean it, say it. Why this runaround? What are the other 2 places? So back in last week's Parshat, we have another one. At the end of Parshat Yisrael, Hashem tells us, "V'mizbeach avonim tasali." If you're going to build a mizbeach, you got to build a mizbeach. We have avoid, we have karbanos to bring. We need a mizbeach. 3rd example, it says, I should say 3rd exception, is by the omer, the carbon omer that we bring on the 2nd day of Pesach. It says, Im takrev minchas bikurim. If you'll bring it, it's not an if, you got to bring the minchas bikurim, you got to bring the omer, the carbon omer. So what's the runaround? You ever been to a birthday party? Almost every birthday party, this is like how it ends. Kid's got lots of presents, very excited, playing with his toys, and then one of the friends wants one of those toys. And this kid just got it, he's not giving it away. He's happy to have his toys. But you're feeling very bad as the parent. This kid's here, this guy your son has all these wonderful new toys, and there's a boy who wants to play with one of them, and he's not giving it up. He's selfish, he's not giving up his toys. So what do? You take your son over to the side, and he says, if you don't give that toy to that kid, I'm taking all your toys and throwing them in the garbage. So, with a gloomy face, he goes over and he goes, here, have the toy. Is that what we want? Is that called lending something? So the Maral explains, he says, there's certain things where if you're doing it just because you're forced to do it, it loses the whole time. You miss the point. Avoida. Hashem says, serve me. Build a mizbeach. Bring karbanos. Be an eved. Show your avdus. If you're doing that because you're forced, so what does that say about this relationship? So Hashem he wants to let us in on the secret. He wants to tell us about avodah, about building a mizbeach, but He can't force us to do it. He can't give it as a tzivui. He says, im, mizbeach, if you'll build a mizbeach. When it comes to an omer, what's the idea of bringing an omer? Here, the idea is akar satayv, recognizing HaKadosh Baruch Hu, recognizing He runs the world. Here, He let it rain, He gave us fertile ground, He gave us a land to plant, and He gave us a beautiful crop. So Hashem has to force us to bring a little appreciation, to show our hakara, to show who runs the world. He says, if you'll bring the carbon omer. And when it comes to chesed, when it comes to lending money, if you're lending the money because Hashem said to lend it, you have no feelings for the person. Listen, I can't say you don't get a mitzvah, but is that the rutz? Is that what Hashem really wants? He wants us to feel for another. So He says, im kasef, if you lend it. It's not hachrech, I'm not forcing you. I want you to develop the rutzin. I want you to develop the feelings for Bnei Yisrael, that if you see someone in need, you're going to want to lend them the money. So, as always, HaKadosh Baruch Hu in His Torah, He means exactly what He says, and He says exactly what He means. Im kesef talva. I'm not forcing you. I want you to develop the rutzin. I want you to develop the personality. I want you to develop yourself. See, mitzvahs aren't just there. Hashem's telling us do it. There's an aspect to that, sure. And some mitzvahs are just for that, for us to recognize Hashem's in charge. But there's another aspect to mitzvahs, and that's to develop ourselves, to become greater people, to become the mamlechas koinim v'gay kadosh, to be an awesome people. So let's listen to the words of the Torah. Let's listen to the words of Hashem. Let's take that to heart. Let's become great people.